to replicate your services throughout the country? Because I figure you're based in KZN.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think we can assist in providing people at the top to assist in terms of giving guidance, in terms of assisting with coordination, providing systems, providing software. So, for example, within our team that we had, we created by Thursday an electronic application process, so to speak, to say, who are you, how much of stock are you looking for, where is it going to, and we then it then gives us the opportunity to keep a level of control on what is going on and manage it. So using technology, for example, to make things and manage this whole thing a lot better. So we are able to assist in many different ways. But again, I must repeat, these things where we are working towards arranging stock and assisting in a program, for example, that we coordinated last week with bread and milk, is not something that we are looking to do on a regular basis. These really are more one-off things that we can assist. And another big program, for example, that we did earlier in the year was we arranged and facilitated all of these COVID triage tents in a number of our hospitals that were really suffering when we had our second peak. And that program has now continued into the third peak. So the point really is that, and to make it very clear, I'm not here to provide food aid. I'm here to provide aid with whatever cause it is, or to provide assistance, not aid, with whatever cause that it is that needs our assistance and needs our cooperation or whatever.
All right.
Support. That's the word.
We have a caller wanting to know: are you going to create a database for interim support for those families that were already in different or difficult circumstances prior to the looting?
No. So that's not our job.
Right.
Again, that's the job of the NGOs, the NPOs that are working on the ground. Okay. What we've done, for example, is we've created a software system, but that is available free of charge to every NPO that wants it, that will allow them to create the database and allow them to be able to use effectively software to make their lives a lot easier. So that's where the database will come from.
Okay. So simply put, your role, we know that you came to the fore, you distributed, because it was a once-off, milk and bread. And I suppose let's hope and pray we don't have a repeat of these type of unrest, but in any disaster situation, you will come in and do a once-off support in any area that is required. But just going forward, there's a lot of rebuilding that needs to happen in Greater KZN and in certain parts of Gauteng.
Absolutely.
What sort of support are you offering for the interim period?
Okay, so before I get there, I just want to say, so remember the first phase now was relief, and there's still a fair amount of relief that needs to be done. And in the first 2 days, the intention was to get out the basic necessities out there, because we've had communities, whether they were from rich areas or whether they were from poor areas, whether they were upper income, low income families, everybody was equally affected.
Absolutely.
We've heard stories, for example, of very wealthy individuals chasing for bread, and are so grateful to receive give us all the money in the world that you had, couldn't afford your loaf of bread last week.
True.
So the point is that, yes, that was the first phase. The second phase now is that we must bear in mind that we still have numerous communities that are substantially affected by this. And just to give you a simple example, use a town like Kamzinto as an example. Every supermarket in the town was looted or burnt. They have no access to supermarkets over there. And probably, yes, the next supermarket, maybe supermarkets are 5 or 10 kilometers away. But there are numerous people that don't have the ability to be able to get there. The other big problem is that a lot of families are too terrified to leave the house because they're so severely traumatized. And these people now don't have food. So our next day, which we launched last night and we circulated on which we started circulating through on social media last night, is we need to provide emergency, immediate food aid to these people. Partly, so we've partnered so far with our 20 NGOs, and our list of NGOs are there. We've got, for example, like Darul Ihsan, Alingard, Sanjat, and a whole host of other organizations that are working in these areas. Okay, and so what we're doing is now we're saying we need to distribute 20,000 food parcels worth an average of 500 rand to these families that have been affected. And we need to do it in the next 2 days because they have no food.
Right.
They literally have no food. Right? And so using our network, sister, what we're doing now is that we are arranging to get, we're trying to facilitate, to coordinate the funding, and then also assisting to coordinate the packing of these hampers, because you must remember that there's still some shortages of stock. There's been a number of our normal suppliers, also normal wholesalers and supermarkets that have been severely affected.
Right.
So we're working off limited capacity, but we have to do all that we can because we can't afford to let these people starve. Because remember, the next threat is, if we allow starvation to continue, we have our next revolt.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then the third phase, as we say, is the rebuilding. So insofar as that is concerned, there's some stuff that we can do quickly, and then there's some long-term stuff.
Right.
You know, for example, the brothers in Stanger who were with us last night and are part of this project, because Stanger has also been very hard hit. And, you know, they said that, look, firstly, the one area of support that they need to look at is that those people that have been unemployed by this, we need to give them some temporary financial relief, because this has come totally unexpectedly. Okay. Second thing is that there are many small businesses that maybe we're employing 2 or 3 or 4 people, okay, that have been badly destroyed, looted, whatever it is, and they need maybe 20,000 rand, or 30,000 rand, or 40,000 rand, you know, to get themselves up and going again. And to use an example, that they had a local barber shop in their town,
Right.
and he was closed, he couldn't operate. He needed 20,000 rand to fix up everything. And so what they did is they arranged to give him the funding yesterday. They arranged with suppliers to come in and assist. And in a matter of 24 hours, alhamdulillah, they were able to reopen that store. So that store started trading today. So what it's done is it's now saved one business, and it's probably saved 5 jobs.
Absolutely.
Remember, if you say 5 jobs, you're feeding 25 people.
Absolutely.
So the point is that there's big things that need to be done, but there's also quick interim things that need to be done. And essentially now, as Muslims for Humanity and as a greater KZN business community, we are looking to launch a rebuilding fund that has a large level of sustainability, okay, and that can be used then to assist a lot of these businesses, either on a short-term basis or on a long-term basis. You know, the bigger supermarkets, bigger businesses that have been actually totally destroyed, you can't reopen in a day. It's going to take them months to rebuild and what have you. So we need to look at support to support them through the process from a financial perspective and give them the assistance that they can. You know, this is reminiscent of the 1949 Indian riots, where our Indian communities were totally decimated. But they came back from there, and they came back better and stronger. And inshallah, that's what we must hope for.
Inshallah, Ameen. Shukran very much. Keep up the amazing work. May Allah accept all of your efforts, you and the entire team, and go well. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam.
That was Shoaib Moosa from Muslims for Humanity, doing some amazing work. 9:49, and when we get back, we're going to be crossing over to Israel to talk to Abir Zayad.
Once again, Maulana Timol will be doing the annual Qurbani. Many people in the villages live well below the poverty line and only eat meat